those central teachings of love everyone and serve everyone, I found over the years that they are deceptively simple, right? I can hear them again and again and again and still not really fully understand what that even means, right? What does it mean to love everyone? What does it mean to serve everyone? As far as I can tell from studying all of the various world's religions, different faith traditions, spiritual traditions, studying different cultures, even modern philosophical systems such as, say, secular humanism, that core tenet of love everyone and serve everyone is a universal value. There's something about it. We might disagree on the reasons why. We might have different philosophical frameworks for understanding it. But there's something about that we all intuitively know is true. We all intuitively yearn towards that as the highest ideal. And that says something to me about this universal quality of the human heart. And I think any time that we take steps towards that, to actualize that, to act as instruments of that love, instruments of service, not only does it benefit others, but it benefits ourselves as well. So the fact that you're all together right now, using your intellect, your creativity, your passion, your youthful energy, following all of the best evidence-based practices to wrap your minds around this core central truth of how can we relieve suffering? How can we love everyone? How can we serve everyone? What does that mean in this time of COVID-19? Yeah, who's being left out right now? Who's not being served? How can we make sure that we're truly attending to everyone? That's not a small thing. And I don't think it's wasted. The ancient teachings say that not only is love the highest ideal, right? Not only is it our deepest truth, but it's also the path. It's also how we actualize that truth. What that means is that this path through life can be quite simple. The way that we reach for love is by practicing love, practicing kindness, telling the truth, working to relieve suffering, caring for others. And what I've found through my years of service work, and it's taken many different forms, right? Through working to organize labor unions, to direct action, engaging in protests, tree sits, fundraising for environmental groups, doing academic research, working as a grief counselor, as a social worker, of course the work I'm doing now with Kripa, working to ensure that anyone, regardless of income level or location, we do a lot of work for people incarcerated in the prison system, but that anyone who wants to has access to engage in contemplative and devotional practices, right? Through all my years of doing this work, I've learned a couple things. One is that it is rewarding in itself. Love and truth, it's the one thing that is self-fulfilling, right? It doesn't need to be justified by anything else. In fact, that is what truly justifies everything else. It's inherently valid. It's inherently rewarding. So we practice loving everyone for the sake of it. And because it's inherently rewarding, it starts to gradually but inevitably grant us a certain ease of being, a buoyancy of being. That doesn't mean it makes us immediately happy. You know, happiness is an emotional state that can come and go. Sadness is an emotional state that comes and goes. Anger comes and goes. So we're not talking about a quick reward, but what we're talking about is starting to open up a deeper place in our being that we can rest in, that just has a little bit more ease about it, a deeper sense of truly being okay, so that as we experience the flux of emotions, the ups and downs of life, loss and gain, sadness, anger, anxiety, joy, love, beauty, that we just start to inhabit a deeper place that doesn't get rocked by it so much. It's also the type of ease of being when we often think about wellness and self-care, it's often really rooted in this deep kind of sense of individualism, right? Like my individual self, I have to just work to make my mind a certain way so I can be okay, because I'm separate from everything else. This isn't that. This is a type of wellness that's rooted in interdependence. And understanding that this inner freedom allows for more service and more love. Yeah? It's a deeper sense of wellness than what's normally talked about. The other thing I've found from this work is that the habitual tendencies of mind have a way to try and co-opt all of these good works for its own gain. And what I mean by that is that there's a part of us that every time we do this service work, what I've found is there's a part of my mind that wants to take that as a memory and thread it on as a bead on the necklace of identity, right? So I can feel better about myself. Oh, I'm a good person. And then I can feel the pride that my parents feel for me, or that my friends and neighbors feel for me. And of course, there's nothing wrong with feeling good about ourselves or making our parents proud. But if that becomes our core motivation, it starts to rob the power of the real work we're doing, because it tricks us into thinking the wrong central message. Yeah? Because that's the message that says, for me to be okay, I have to have a certain personality structure, as Ram Dass would say, a costume of identity that looks and feels a certain way, right? I have to be a, quote, good boy. And if I can get this type of approval from the people around me, then I can be okay. There's a lot of anxiety in that. There's a lot of tension in that. And that message doesn't always lead to future service work. It doesn't lead to that bigger love. That's a constricted, that's a constrictive way of moving through the world. But if we're brave enough and we can allow ourselves to allow the deeper message to come through, which is that, yeah, when we do this work, it has a tendency to inspire others around us, but that's not why we do it. We do it because love and service is inherently valid. It's inherently self-fulfilling. There's a certain amount of trust, there's a certain amount of faith in that process, because there's not always this immediate high from doing it. But gradually but inevitably, as we live a life of service and love, we start to carve out a deeper place in our being. And that's a truly beautiful thing. So I really commend you all. I know when I was young and adults said to me, "Oh, I find you so inspiring. It gives me hope for the future." I didn't really understand that. And I don't know if you all really understand, but it's true. Knowing that there's young people who care about others, who want to relieve suffering, and who are willing to put their attention on the people that are often forgotten, the people that are often left out of the conversation, the people that we're not truly caring for, that we're turning a blind eye to. The fact that there's people willing to do that work of turning towards suffering, turning towards pain, allowing ourselves to feel that pain. Because the truth of interdependence means that when other people are suffering, we feel it. And if we're not feeling it, it's because we've numbed ourselves. We've turned away. That's not how we become whole. But it's hard work. It's painful work to turn towards, to see suffering. There are types of suffering in the world that are horrendous, that are agonizing, that are just heartbreaking, that feel unbearable. And when we allow ourselves to turn towards it and to feel that pain, we learn that we can actually bear the unbearable, and that's the path of healing. That's where we grow towards being in a true global community where we can say that we do actually love everyone. Because the thing is about these deceptively simple statements like that is that the reason that they're so deceptively simple is that in our heart of hearts we know that we don't. That we're not living in the world in a way collectively as if we love everyone. But when we each take steps like you're all doing right now towards doing that, not only do we create more ease of being for the entire world, but it also gives us more ease of being in ourselves and a more fulfilling life. So for that, I'm truly grateful that you're all there. Excuse me. That you're all there using your intelligence and your creativity and your passion. Because you could be doing anything else right now, and this is what you're choosing to do. To turn yourselves towards figuring out how to relieve suffering, to turn your attention towards the people that are often left outside of the equation. And so, truly, my heart goes out to you. True gratitude.